G'day YouTubers. I bought some sinker moulds because sinkers are fairly expensive these days, and you can pick up some scrap lead around either cheap or for nothing. If you happen to know someone that works in a tyre place, can get the tyre weights, something like that. I had the idea that I'd mould some sinkers up, particularly for snapper sinkers. They're pretty heavy and expensive. I used to mould them up years ago when I was doing a lot of offshore fishing. The reason I do these sort of things is any money I can save on anything can go into the boat or petrol for fishing or bait or whatever. But any money wasted, that means maybe two less trips a year. I just can't afford to go out. So I do whatever I can to save a dollar here, there and everywhere. You'll have to watch through to the end to see how this one worked out though. I've got my lead melting set up such as it is. I wouldn't recommend anyone else to do it this way. It is pretty slapdash, but I've been using it for probably about 40 years now and I'm pretty comfortable with it, but it certainly doesn't meet safety standards. You need to be real careful around it. Keep in mind what you're doing all the time. Main reason I like it is I can just set it up anywhere outside and I don't have to breathe lead fumes. Let's see if we can get him lit. There we go. Heat coming off that. And just got to leave that sit there until the lead starts to melt. And this is a really hot day and I've got a full overall on and leather shoes. I'm going to put leather gloves on before I start and safety glasses. If my face gets splashed, well, I'm going to get pretty burnt, but it hadn't happened in all these years. Take you forward a little bit and show you what's happening in there now. It doesn't take long for lead to melt. You can see in there, I think. There we go, zoomed right in. I've got some old diving weights that are no longer usable. Lots of bullet leads I've picked up. Just got to wait for that to melt now. Now these are some of the moulds you can get. That's just one side of it. These are 8-ounce snapper leads, this mould. That's the other side of it. You put them together like that and pour in there. Now I've never used these brand before. Not sure I like them being hollow at the back like that. Normally they're filled in, the ones I've used. So see how these go. Now that it's melting, we'll just go forward again and have a look at what's happening. You can see the shiny silver lead just down the bottom now. Everything's starting to sag down into it. And while this is getting ready, closer to ready now, we'll just sit that there. Heat the mould up a little bit as well. They'll cool better then. So you get all the rubbish off of it. Looks like there's going to be a bit of stuff here that's floating, so it's not fully lead. Some of these so-called leads aren't lead because they're just floating on top of it. Now I've got some paraffin wax, a little bit of candle wax. Just drop that in there. We'll act as a flux, take some of the impurities out. Oh, and it also burns. Right, let's see if we can pour one. Have a look and see what happened to these. Definitely not hot enough for this one. The beauty of it is when it doesn't work for you, you can just take them out and you're free to have another go. Just make sure you don't splash when you're putting them back in the lead. You don't want molten lead splashing up all over you. Now that we've seen how to make them, let's have a look at the finished product. I have to say it's rather disappointing. Now some of this is my fault. You can see on this one that the lead's got a bit of marks on the surface and it's not terribly shiny. I think that's because the mould wasn't hot enough when I moulded this one, but it is quite alarming to see the amount of flashing on that where the mould's joined. The most alarming thing is the flashing around the hole, both inside and outside, around the hole that you put your fishing line through. Now I know it's lead and I know lead is soft, but that flashing will cut your fishing line. That has to be removed by hand with a knife on the outside and probably a drill bit or something on the inside. Just grab a drill bit and twist it through, hanging onto it with your hand. You don't need a drill, but still has to be done, and that's just not good enough. It's the same thing with these smaller sinkers. There's just too much flashing. You can see the mould was hot enough, they've moulded quite nicely, but it's just flashing around the mould joints everywhere. Inside the hole, outside the hole, around the periphery of the sinker where the mould's joined. It's just really not good enough. I can't use these as they are. I have to do a lot of work with them to make them usable, and I'm just not happy with it. Really hard for you to see, but these got a rounded edge on them, and the edges of all these are rounded, and that's why we're getting flashing. So yeah, not very well designed in my opinion. Ones I used to use years ago were much better. Wish I knew what happened to them. Well, that's it. I certainly can't recommend these sinker moulds. I was pretty disappointed in them. The mould that I used years ago was way better than this. There was no flashing on the finished sinker. So yeah, look, I just found this really disappointing. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't buy them. I'm not going to use them. And that's the bottom line. Thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I hope it deters you from buying these particular brands because really, quite frankly, they're rubbish. If you'd like to see some more of my videos, you can go to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click like, comment and subscribe for more. Until next time, good fishing.